Okay. Hey, Ruth. So thanks for coming on. Really appreciate it, taking time out of your day. You said it was a busy week for you before we started recording. So anything in particular going on?
There's just lots of clients. Normally December is known for being slow in the fitness industry, but I've been lucky that it actually stayed busy throughout the month. Actually have one of my busier weeks next week. So just regular stuff.
Mhm. What kind of clients do you usually take on? Are these like competitors, or is it more like lifestyle type of?
Yeah, mostly lifestyle, just, the average client trying to stay healthy, maybe some weight loss goals. But I train mostly in New York City. So a lot of the clients here are just, trying to, reduce stress and stay healthy. So yeah,
Yeah, well, I mean, in New York, yeah, especially, it's you guys live a busy life up there. It's everything's so
pretty,
fast paced.
pretty crazy. Yeah, you have to do something. You have to have some sort of outlet. And I think a lot of people here, they just do it for that, just to kind of like have an outlet and reduce stress and feel better. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in Nashville and we're not nearly as busy, but everything is growing. They're always building, people are coming down, so it's getting bigger and bigger. So you can tell people are getting more stressed out as the city is growing. So that's,
Yeah.
it's just one of those things. So how did you so I saw on your page that you've been doing fitness training for over 25 years.
Mhm.
So how did you get into it?
So I started because got a part-time job at a gym, and it was like the closest place. I was living in Florida back then, and it was like the closest place that I could get a part-time job, and I didn't have to worry about anybody taking me to work. It was literally walking distance, which is not something you usually find in Florida. So I started working at a gym, just doing like front desk work. I mean, started 25 years, over 25 years ago, to be exact, 30 years ago now. And back then, the fitness industry was very different than it is today. So my job, was anything from like front desk to selling memberships to teaching people how to use equipment, and then even, cleaning up the gym at the end of the night. So it was just kind of like everybody did a little bit of everything at the gym, and progressed into management after a few years of working with the company. I was in high school. I was only 15 when I started working in the fitness industry. Um, and then once I started to want to open my own business, the most affordable way for me to do that and stay in the fitness industry at that point, which was 2001, was to open a personal training studio. So the overhead would be smaller. I didn't have to have as much equipment. And at one of my high school friends, who actually was a teen bodybuilding back when we were in high school, his name is George Betancourt. So if you've heard of Bullnox, the supplement company,
Yeah.
he started that supplement
Okay.
line, and he was the first person that had a personal training studio in Miami. So I went to check out his studio and saw, how reasonable it would be to open that type of business and stay, still be in the fitness industry. So I opened up a personal training studio in Florida, and it went really well. I was in a great location, but what happened was, I mean, I was really young too. I decided to open a second location within a year,
Hmm.
and that was probably the biggest mistake I made, because I was just too growing too fast.
Hmm.
I was a single mom, and I had two kids, ages 3 and 6. So managing two businesses and being a single mom to
Right.
kids that little was a lot. So I ended up closing the gyms and just going into personal training and being independent. And then from there, I after doing that for about 7 years, I decided to move to New York and do the fitness industry here. I just needed a change.
Hmm.
And I worked for a big box club here called New York Sports Club, big chain, sort of like LA Fitness or
Sure.
24-hour fitness. And then now, just about a year ago, I decided to go back into just personal training again.
Hmm.
So I always had my hand in personal training, but my main job was to manage the revenue for the personal training for the company.
I see.
So now I just do personal training.
Okay. So how come you moved from Miami? Miami seems, well, it's another city that's quite a beast, but it seems like a place where people want to make sure that they look good and everything like that. So I would figure you probably have a lot of clientele there.
Yes, I was really busy there too. I originally was born in New Jersey and moved to Miami when uh, I turned 14. So I went to high school in Miami. I went to college in Miami. I had my kids in Miami. I always tell people like I'm from Miami first because I feel like I grew up and became an adult there. But I was born in Jersey. And then I came to New York my dad was living in Queens. I came to New York to visit and I fell in love with the same thing that drives me crazy about New York right now, which is the high energy, the craziness, the nonstop. I fell in love with that vibe. And I was like, I definitely want to live here. People say if you can make it in New York, you make it anywhere. So I said, I want to see, I've already been successful in Miami. I had made a name for myself. And I said, I want to see if I can do the same thing in New York. So it was kind of like the challenge of coming to a huge city like New York and being able to repeat the success that I had in Miami. And my plan was initially to just be here for 5 years. I always said no more than 5 years. But, New York has a way of sucking you in and not letting you go. So I have a love-hate relationship with New York. I love it, but I also am like, oh, I need to get away. So that's what brought me back to New York, and I've been here since. I've been here now 10 years. So at this point, I've lived pretty much equal amounts of time in both places.
Do you still have family in Miami?
All my family's in Miami.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I go back to Miami at least 4 to 5 times a year. I go there all the time.
We visit Florida a lot. My wife is from Tampa area, so
Okay.
we go there bunches of times. But I love Florida. Like I love the sun and everything like that. So it's a blast for sure.
Yeah.
So so what do you think about how? I guess let me ask you this: how involved, since most of your clients are like lifestyle type of clients, how involved are you in your pulse on the fitness industry? Do you deal with like competitions? Do you keep up with any of that?
So I competed for a few years and I did figure competitions. Unfortunately, back when I competed, my last show was in 2005. The divisions was just fitness, figure, bodybuilding for women. And my physique didn't, no pun intended, didn't fit like in the figure division. I was way too big. My legs really are my most powerful muscle.
Mm.
So I just kind of like overpowered on that stage compared to the figure girls back then. And one of the national judges, uh, his advice to me was, listen, you need to just compete as a bodybuilder, get your pro card, and then go back to figure once you're a pro. Um, or you need to lose 10 pounds of muscle. And saying that to a competitor is like, what? 10 pounds of muscle?
That's a
Are
lot
you
of
kidding
muscle.
me? Yeah.
That's a lot of
So
muscle.
yeah, I got a little frustrated. I felt like a little like just frustrated with the whole industry because I worked so hard. And then I remember like the last show I did, there was a girl that was with us and she's like, I decided 2 weeks ago I should compete. And she got like second or third place. So I felt like my hard work was being penalized.
Right.
So I stopped competing. But now I went to train with Charles Glass, the Godfather of Bodybuilding. That was
Mhm.
like my birthday present to myself a few weeks ago. So now that there are so many divisions, I feel like there's an opportunity for me to compete again. And I just turned 45. So I feel like I want to do that again. So I just got myself back into it.
Do they have like masters division? And it doesn't it start with it's I thought it started with 50. Doesn't it start with 50? Or is it 40 45
There's like
already?
I'm not sure. So to be honest, I mean, my first show would be just getting back in, right? And I would
Sure, sure.
probably try to do like I think they have different categories. Like they used to at least have over 30, over
Right.
40s. They
Gotcha.
once you get to a pro level, then I think the master division, I'm not sure if it starts with over 45 or
Hmm.
50. I think so much has changed because now there's so
Right.
many more competitors.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah, so my goal right now is just to kind of get myself in shape and see where I fit because there's so many options for me. I, I could go into the wellness division, or I could
Yeah.
go. bikini. I mean, not bikini. Ooh, not bikini. Yeah.
Bikini, you would
Ooh,
probably need to drop like all
yeah,
your
yeah,
muscle and
yeah,
everything
yeah.
else.
Not bikini, but I could do wellness or I could do physique. I was talking to one of the trainers at the gym who feels like I can even do figure if I'm willing to bring down my legs a little bit. So I'm in a good place right now where I can kind of just diet down and see where my body would fit the most and then make those changes. But it's going to be an amateur show anyways, and it's just going to give me something to kind of focus on for the next few months. And it's always good for business.
Well, I mean, wellness will be a good fit, right? Like for bigger legs, and that's they're starting to really want to ramp that up, and in the IVB NPC. So a
Yeah, and
lot
it
of
would be yeah, it would be
yeah.
great to be one of the pioneers in the States for wellness.
Mhm.
My thing with wellness is I don't like the posing.
Okay.
I have an issue with the posing.
In what sense? Like explain that a little
So
bit.
the posing is similar to bikini,
Hmm.
and it's just, nothing against the girls that do either one of those divisions, but I just feel like it takes away from the athlete in my perspective. And maybe I'm a little bit square when it comes to certain things, but I just feel like I train at the gym and I just feel like that whole walking to the back of the stage and pushing,
Hmm.
bending forward. It's just, to me, it's a little tasteless.
So
Like,
with bikini, like it kind of like see what I was thinking was in bikini. Well, that part of it is neither here nor there. But as far as not posing like figure for bikini makes sense because those girls often don't have much muscle on their
right.
body anyway. So they're not really there's no real need for them to pose like that. But for wellness, if it's big in the Hispanic countries, and
Right.
if you look at some of those girls, they're extremely muscular, especially the more popular ones. And so like it wouldn't make sense for them to pose like bikini girls who have almost no muscle on their body.
Right. Well, that's what the posing is like right now, and it is still new, so it may change.
Sure.
And that for me would make a big difference on whether I do wellness or not. Just because at the end of the day, you have to be comfortable on stage. That's a big part of how you're judged. Also, if you go on stage and you're just not comfortable with the posing, it's going to show,
Sure.
and you're not really going to showcase your body the way you're supposed to. So again, it's just kind of like one of those things where I kind of just want to see where my body goes and then make those decisions at the end and see if I can work through it.
Do you have like a date in mind of what you're thinking of? What
So
show? What
yeah,
month?
I'm thinking I'm going to start dieting. No, I'm not thinking I'm going to start dieting in January. So I think I'm going to probably need like 16 weeks, 12 to 16 weeks. So that'll put me somewhere like in the beginning of the season. There's a couple shows here, local shows in New York City that I could do, but it all depends. I wanted to do Victor. Victor Martinez is a very good friend of mine, and I wanted to do his show, but his show is late in August, so it kind of like you
Yeah.
spend your whole summer, and summers here are valuable for us, so you
Right.
spend your whole summer dieting. So
Yeah. Yeah.
not sure about that.
You have to time it right because
Mhm.
dieting is for a lot of people it's a harsh process. So there's always somebody that has an easy time with dieting, but for the most part it's pretty tough. So you got to kind of block those months out for being upset sometimes randomly for no reason, and dealing with all kinds of emotions like that. So
Even the social aspect of it, like it just goes out the window, like
yeah.
you never know how you're going to feel. So it's going to be interesting for me because I haven't dieted for a show since 2005. So I mean, I've dieted for summer vacations and things like that, but
Sure.
not for a show. So it's going to be cool to see like how my body responds to the diet this time after 15 years away.
Right.
So I'm super excited.
Yeah, that sounds exciting, especially like get back into it. There's like a new revived, excitement to it. So what are you thinking as far as your dieting? Do you have a plan in mind? Like how are you gonna go through that process?
I just got so one of the trainers at the gym, Charles. I'm going to go back and see Charles Glass. I plan on going back to see him at least a couple times. I really enjoyed training with him. So one of the trainers at the gym is kind of going to be like my accountability person locally, and he just wrote up a diet for me, which is not too difficult, but it's going to be interesting again because I've been eating the same exact thing every single day for about 10 to 15 years. So changing that is going to be an adjustment.
Right.
But he has me on a lot of fish. He has me eating. We still got to make some tweaks to it because he has me eating steak. I don't eat red meat at all.
How
So,
come?
it's just, I don't enjoy it.
You don't like it?
Yeah, I don't really like it.
It's not like you're not it's not about the cows, like the you're
No,
worried about
no,
killing the cows.
no, I'm not. I eat chicken, I eat I'll
Right.
eat turkey, I eat fish. So it's not about the animal per se. I don't like the texture of it, the density in the meat. So it's not something that I enjoy. So we have to kind of like go through some, like I'll eat ground beef.
Right.
So it's more about the texture for me. So we still got to tweak it a little bit and see what we come up with. I'm also I'm out all day long training clients. So, that plays a big part, just carrying all that food, what's easy for you to prep in advance. And steak is not one of those things that you can cook in advance.
Right.
Like
Right. Yeah. I mean, you can, but I don't think it's a good
it's not,
idea.
yeah, exactly.
So like, when does he have you pulling out carbs? Are you keeping carbs in all throughout the whole prep? Do
I
you
mean,
remember?
no, so he just gave me like basically what I would call my phase one diet, which is
I
what I'm going to
got you.
start in January. And then I guess we're probably going to, I think he wants me to do that to like drop like 10 to 12 pounds. And then I guess he might see where I go from there. Um, so it's still in the early stages.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's really like the way you want to set up a diet. You don't want to set it up just like a cookie cutter type of situation. You want to change it as the person, adjusts to it. So,
Exactly. Yeah. And that's basically what we're focusing on right now.
so Charles Glass, huh? So what a guy, huh? That's something to be, to train with him, I'm sure.
Absolutely. I mean, it was in my bucket list. And actually, the guy that's my accountability trainer coach here, he trained with him a few years ago. And when I first met him, he said, Ruthie, what you have to do before he stops working is train with Charles Glass. And he just had to say that to me once. And I made the plan. I'm going to see him for my birthday. So it was really great. He's amazing. Such a kind person and just easy to talk to, made me feel super comfortable, was great about just giving me feedback on my body. So it was a great experience to train with him. And just being at the Mecca, that Gold's Gym is like
Right.
exciting. And, to be fair, I'm a little bit spoiled because the gym where I train clients here in New York it's a big bodybuilding gym. And in Miami, I also had that culture of a lot of competitors,
Sure. Sure.
bodybuilders. So going to the Gold's Gym in Venice was, it wasn't anything that I wasn't used to,
Mhm.
but it was still really cool to be there and just, know that that's where a lot of the great bodybuilders train at or have
Right.
trained at.
Right. Yeah, it's more of a historical site now. I don't know like how much, as far there's so many more options now around the country. Back then that was pretty much like the biggest, a couple of big places. That was one of them, probably the biggest, and that's it. Now, I mean, every state has big gyms that bodybuilders go to.
Right.
So, but yeah. So his thing, from what I heard, his thing is angles, right? Like he's big
Yes.
into angles.
Yes. So the other thing too is that the coach the person who trained me for my last competitions when I was competing in the past, his name is Bears Baker, and I was introduced to him by Vince Taylor.
Hmm.
And Bears is legally blind. He has
Oh,
10% vision from a peripheral side, on like peripheral vision. And he trained me for about 5 years. And he trains very similar to Charles Glass. So just, angles, making sure your thumb is down or pinky's up or turn your foot like this or, so I was very familiar with that type of training. And a lot of the things that Bears taught me years ago, I see people doing in the gym now because,
mhm.
Charles Glass has been putting out videos. So it's kind of like become more widespread. So yeah,
Sure.
his thing is very much angles and just twisting things and using equipment for not really what they were meant to be used for. But it's cool. So Charles Glass, I didn't know this about him. He was an engineer by trade.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, a
But
lot
it
of people
makes it
don't.
makes all the sense in the world.
Yes, exactly. And he, he has a great story. And he was explaining that to me. He was an engineer by trade and wanted to get out. And he actually, I don't want to give his story away, but
Sure.
basically came into the fitness world because they were doing like layoffs, and he like was one of the first to volunteer. And it just made so much sense to me when he said he was an engineer. I said, of course you were. It's just the way your brain works
Right.
is
Right.
completely different.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it obviously benefits a lot of people because I mean, he wouldn't have the following and the success that he has if it doesn't work. So it obviously works, whatever he's doing. So
Yes.
I wonder if he's going to have, once he steps out of the limelight, is he going to have like someone to kind of take his place? Have you noticed anyone that's kind of
I,
doing
you know,
similar
I
things to him?
didn't, I didn't, but my friend who told me, you have to train with him before he retires said to me, just make sure that he's the one who trains you because I know he has apprentices.
Hmm.
So, but while I was there, I didn't see anything like that. I mean, I trained with him early in the morning. And he still works. Like he starts training people at 4 in the morning and he doesn't
Wow.
stop till, like 2 in the afternoon.
Wow.
Uh, but I have heard that's what he's doing,
He's
is getting other people ready to kind of
sure.
take over.
Sure. He had some kind of issue with his eye. Is he feeling better?
I mean, he wears a patch
Hmm.
sometimes. He wasn't wearing it when I was there, and I didn't ask him exactly what the issue was, but I know he had it. He just didn't have it on
I
him.
got you.
Um, but yeah, I mean, he still seems like he's getting a little tired, and he said to me that there's other things he wants to do, and
Sure.
being a trainer, anytime you take time off, and I can only imagine at his level because I feel the guilt when you take time off, you feel like you're letting your clients down
Right.
because most of them don't train if you're not training them.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah,
he
that depend
he
on
mentioned,
you.
yeah, so he mentioned that he has things he wants to do, and the guilt of him taking time off really like weighs him down when he wants to do stuff because of his clients. So I don't know how many more years. We jokingly said, "You got 10 more years in you," and he said, "Oh no." So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if anybody deserves some time off, he definitely does. But yeah, most people don't think about trainers, thinking that way, like that you're letting your clients down. Nobody thinks about that aspect of it, but I guess that could be a big issue.
yeah,
Yep.
like I said, I mean, most of my clients are just training for lifestyle and being healthy, and I feel it when I go away for 10 days. I feel like I sit down for like hours before I leave to write up programs for everyone so that my guilt is a little less.
Do they ever bother you, like when you leave? Like, do you get a bunch of emails, a bunch of texts, stuff like
Usually they
that?
don't. Usually they don't. I try to check in anyways. It's my way of feeling better. Like, hey, just checking to see how the programs are going. But most of the times they don't bother, and I think a lot of people take advantage of that time to take a
Yeah,
break also.
yeah, I'm
um,
sure.
yeah.
Does Charles train with heavy? Like, is he a heavyweight guy, like, or lighter weights? I know the angles are a big thing, but does he utilize heavier weights with those angles?
Um, I think it depends on like what the goal is. Like,
Hmm.
for me, with my legs, we did like more volume
Hmm.
and not so
Not
heavy.
so much.
Um, but then when we did like my shoulders and we did my lats and stuff, then he definitely wasn't afraid of giving me the weight. So I think it depends. I noticed that his rep ranges always stayed around 12,
Hmm.
which is because I train alone most of the time. I always catch myself doing much more volume and reps and less weight. So it's something that I know that I have to change and just try to ask for spots and things
Sure.
like that, which I usually don't.
Sure, sure. Yeah, no, I run into the same issues too when I train by myself. I end up going a little less with the weight, and then knowing that at least I can push it for a couple of more reps. So that's kind of generally how it works. So how about you? How's your training style generally for people? And I know you said mostly it's lifestyle, so you're not mostly not prepping people for shows, but you know, how would you go about training folks?
So, being in New York City, I think that people are always looking for the next new thing, and New Yorkers need to be challenged, and there has to be a lot of creativity in the workouts and that sort of thing. And I think that aside from being from New York, in today's era, if you will, with social media and so many fitness influencers posting like these workouts, and half of them don't really get you the results you're looking for. They just look really cool on video.
Right.
It's challenging when you have clients. Luckily, I'm pretty upfront with my clients, and I tend to train my clients very similar to the way I train myself, which is, like I say, old school bodybuilding, Arnold Schwarzenegger type of lifting. What I do to blend that in with their goals is just do more circuit training, or what they call high intensity interval training. So I try to give them a little bit of everything, but I'm not that type of trainer who's going to do stuff just because they look cool or somebody posted it on a YouTube video. I truly believe in, whether or not you have to outweigh the benefits versus the risk of an exercise. And I think that, what we know, I'm looking at you. I see you obviously lift some weights.
A little bit. I toss a little bit around.
There's no way to get that shape that people look for if you don't build muscle. And that's what I tell my clients. The only thing that's going to change the way your body looks is weight training.
Yeah.
None of that creative stuff is really it's going to make you, maybe more athletic. You might have a better endurance in some areas, but it's not going to change the way your body looks.
Sure.
So that's what I try to do.
Yeah, I think you're more of like a bread and butter type of person, right? That's it.
100%. Yeah.
Well, somewhere I read that weight training, the core of weight training for whatever body part is really only like 4 to 5 basic exercises, and then outside of that, maybe even less. But outside of that is just just more volume, maybe a little bit more endurance, maybe just some little extra things. But you can literally do like 4, 5 exercises for each body part, and you'll have the effect that you're looking for.
I can agree with that statement 100%. Yeah. And then when you add like things like what Charles Glatt does, just adding different angles based on the areas that you need more volume or definition in, more.
Sure.
Then that just changes everything. But I agree. I think 4 to 5 exercises per body, per muscle is probably all you need. Everything else is just keeping it fun.
Sure. And that, I mean, you see that a lot, like you mentioned about people posting like weird exercises. What's crazy is that I'll see some of these people doing it at the gym. So I'll see something online and then I'll see it at the gym and I'm like, oh no, this is really catching on. This is so terrible. I mean, I don't come up and say anything because people don't usually nowadays don't take criticism that well. But yeah, it's something for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I just have my clients say, like, have you seen this video? Have you seen this exercise? And I'm just like,
Yeah. So, were your parents into like training or weightlifting, anything like that?
No, I'm like first generation fitness person in my family.
Okay.
Nobody else did it. Just, like I said, I started working at the gym when I was 15 years old, and I fell in love with the sport, and I started going to bodybuilding shows and just really loved, I never wasn't in sports because my mom was very strict. So she didn't like let me do any after school activities. I had to come right home, but I was allowed to have a part-time job.
Yeah.
So I just indulged in that. I was like, okay. And then it just so happened that my part-time job was in a gym. So it just became the center of everything for me. So that was, nobody else in my family. Now I'm like trying to recruit everybody, get everybody fit, and my mom and my grandparents and things like that, but nobody prior to me.
Where are you from originally? I don't know. Were you born in the States?
I was born in Jersey. My mom.
Oh, that's right. You mentioned that earlier. My apologies. Yeah.
It's okay. My mom was born in Cuba, and my father is from El Salvador. But they both came to the States very young. So yeah.
So you've got some good genetics. And particularly, I know the Cuban people have really good genetics. If you look at like athletics, they have a strong wrestling program in Cuba, boxing, very, like world renowned. So
I think
you
I
come
took
from
all
good
my
stock.
Yeah, I did. I got most of my genetics from my mom's side of the family, so I got lucky in that
Yeah,
aspect.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
good. That's good. So at this point, like how many clients do you generally take on at a time?
So right now I have a full schedule. I'm probably training like 6 to 7 clients a day. And then you factor into that commuting time because they're not always all in the same place. A lot of times I go to people's apartment buildings where they have gyms. So I have in my roster right now about 15 clients. So I'm trying to build my online business and more so nutrition and supplement coaching.
Mhm.
I'm really passionate about nutrition and supplement because I think that listen, at the end of the day, I think it's really misunderstood. People think that they're just
Yeah.
going to take supplements and there's two misunderstandings. There's either they're just going to take the supplements and the results are going to come. And the other one is that a lot of people view it very negatively, like, oh, I don't need to take supplements, And so I'm really passionate about just educating people on look, the supplementation is exactly that. It's there to supplement whatever else you're doing. So I'm trying to build that up because I can help unlimited amount of people through nutrition and supplement coaching as opposed to one-on-one training. My time is limited to trading time for money. So that's what I'm trying to build up right now.
So what do you like? You said you're passionate about nutrition and supplements. Like, talk about that a little bit. I know it's a very broad
Yeah.
subject, but in what sense are you like? In what sense are you passionate about it? Which aspect of it is it? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think just having that balance and understanding, when coming from the fitness industry and training clients, you have a lot of clients who come to you and they're with you 2, 3 hours a week, and then the rest of the time they're on their own, and then they're not seeing the results that they're looking for because at the end of the day, 80% of the results they're looking for are going to come through their nutrition program. So just teaching people how to eat properly and not necessarily depriving themselves, but understanding the whole calories in versus calories out and understanding how supplementation can help, um, whether it be psychologically, that placebo effect of like, I'm going to take pre-workout and I'm going to have such a great workout because of it, or,
Sure.
just a lot of people are unmotivated to work out. And it's like, they need that little extra help, and there's nothing wrong with it. So just
Yeah.
teaching people that there are ways to get the results they're looking for, and that it's okay to, take a thermogenic or something that's going to help you with your cravings so that you're able to move forward in your journey as opposed to feeling stuck because you're not you're not helping yourself in other
Right.
ways. So, um, teaching people how to eat properly and having them understand, like so many people, they they don't realize like I ate great all week and I did 30 minutes of cardio all week, and it's like, but then you went and you ate pizza and hamburgers all weekend. So you just undid everything you did the whole week. So trying to educate people on how to take 5 steps forward and not take 10 steps backward every time that a weekend comes around. That's hard because I think that a lot of people say, like, what should I be eating? But like in reality, I think people know a lot more than they pretend to know. And it's just easier
Right.
to pretend that, oh, I didn't know if I ate, you know, ice cream every night that it was going to
They're
I'm
they're like,
giving
oh, I had no idea. I had no idea that 10,000 calories before I go to bed is going to make any difference.
exactly. I think that people want to excuse it to like not knowing. And I feel also like even now with the whole, plant-based eating, and there's all these like cauliflower pizza or cauliflower rice. And at the end of the day, yes, they're better options, but they're still carbohydrates.
Mhm.
You
So what
know,
do you, yeah, what do you think about that? The whole like vegan plant-based vegetable type of movement that's going on. I don't know if you've seen the Game Changers.
I did. I
One of
did.
we did a buddy of mine came on the podcast. We did a review on it. There's reviews all over the place about it. What do you think about it?
I mean, listen, I think that it definitely sells you, and I think that's what it's meant to do. Like you get sold on like, oh my God, I could feel this much better. And I'll be honest, I was one of the ones that jumped on the bandwagon. I was like,
Hmm.
maybe I need to try this, but it's a lot harder than it seems.
Hmm.
The first thing that I noticed for me is a lot of the plant-based stuff that I was buying, it's frozen, like all these like plant-based meatballs or plant-based sausage or plant-based chicken. They're all frozen, so they're full of preservatives and sodium, which I tend to be very sensitive to. So eating plant-based it's a lot harder than they, you know, portray it to be.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
But I think it's great. I also watched, did you watch What the Health a few years ago?
So I didn't. I'm gonna go back and watch that. I was kind of staunchly against watching those things because I'm not into the whole vegan thing. I mean, I do believe that the vegetables are extremely important. I think they should be the majority of your plate. But I'm not gun ho about it. But I was like, well, let me check this Game Changers thing out. So now I'm gonna go back and watch the What the Health. But what were you gonna say about it? Sorry, go
So
ahead.
I mean, so I watched that a couple years ago, and I mean, I loved it. Ideally I would love to switch to something like that, just because I'm not a big any type of meat eater. Like whether
Hmm.
it's even with chicken and turkey, I'll eat it, but it has to be like cut up. Like I don't feel like I digest
Right.
it as well.
Okay.
Um, but I mean, the studies that come out are pretty impressive in terms of reversing a lot of illnesses. And nowadays where you have so many animals that are being injected with steroids and things like
Hmm.
that, it's kind of scary. Like you don't know where you're really getting your food from. Whereas when you're eating plant-based, I guess it's a little bit cleaner, if you will.
I mean, you would hope, but sometimes it's
You
not
never
that
you don't
way.
even know. Exactly.
Yeah.
You don't even know. So um, I like that there's something for everyone, whether you're vegan or pescatarian or you want to be plant-based, and again, it takes me back to what I talk about nutrition. It's not no one way has to be, it doesn't have to be just one way. It's just kind of like blending everything together and trying to find a balance in your nutrition and
Right.
what works for you, because some things work for some people and not for others. Um, so I mean I like that there's all these different options,
Sure.
because it eliminates people having excuses, right? Although
Right.
they still do.
Right. Exactly. That's a good way of looking at it. So do you supplement with protein powder?
I do. I do take a protein powder. My supplements, I take a protein powder. I drink my pre-workouts. I take branched chain amino acids. Um, but I am one of those people that needs something to kind of just get me up
Yeah.
and going.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I'm the same way. Sometimes like so I start my full-time job pretty early, like around 5 a.m. So I can really only need go to the gym after work, and it's like after a full day's work, in the middle of the day, I gotta have something to like, to get me going. So,
yeah.
just a cup of coffee sometimes doesn't do it,
Nope.
but it is what it is.
Unless
Uh,
it's Cuban
Go ahead.
shot, Cuban shot of Cuban coffee.
There you go.
That's a
Yeah.
that's
Well,
that's a whole different type of coffee.
maybe when we go to Miami, because
Yeah.
here in Nashville, you're like, I think I've only seen like one Cuban restaurant, and that's it. So yeah, we need more of those for sure. So are you linked to any supplement companies or anything
I
like that?
I do. So I started using Advocare products, and they used to be in the multi-level marketing business. Now they're just single level marketing, but they have a lot of endorsements. So Drew Brees is our main endorser. Patrick Mahomes
Okay.
from Kansas City is one of our endorsers. So the company has like a scientific and medical board for all of our products. We have a sports advisory panel, And when I was younger and in the fitness, competing and stuff, I would buy whatever the vitamin stores had. And I wasn't really worried about feeling shaky or not being able to
Right.
sleep at night. I was a little bit more brave with what I was taking.
Sure.
But Advocare, someone sold it to me and I did so good with it. And I just trust the company and trust the process that they go through. So that's the products that I've been taking for the last 5 years. So I haven't even been inside of a vitamin store.
Awesome. Where would you like purchase that if somebody wanted it?
So you have to know a distributor. You can go online to purchase it.
Okay.
But we don't sell it like in stores.
I see. I see. So are you still in the process of selling it now? Oh, you are. So how would someone reach you if they wanted to, get it from you?
Yeah, so my website is champions@advocare.com. And also I have like a link on my Instagram, Ruthie Rod, where they can just connect with me there. We can figure out what their fitness goals are, what kind of supplementation they even need. And then I could give them like a breakdown of what they should be getting.
Hmm. And that link is for is that for the training aspect of your business, or is that just for the supplements? Okay.
Right. That's
Okay.
for my supplements. So, yeah.
So, you were talking about growing your business online. First of all, how would somebody reach you if they wanted to connect with you for help with fitness in regard to training or online help?
Um, Most of my business right now, because of social media, is coming through my Instagram account where I have a link tree sublink right now. I've just started to do that. So I'm still growing that part of the
Sure.
business, but I'm pretty available through there and they could just find me at Ruthie Rod.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Well, hey, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to do that. We got a little bit of time, so that's good because I know you've got a lot of clients and business is booming, which is great. So, but thank you again for coming on.
I wanted to thank you for the opportunity and also thank you for having even this platform available for people like myself, to share their passion. So I think it's a great thing that you're doing.
Sure. Awesome. Thank you so much. And I am gonna have a website coming out soon, so I'll send that over to you as well, and a copy of this video in case you wanted to do whatever you want to do with it, like post it or something like that. Okay.
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank
A
you.
great
Take
week.
care.
Okay. Have happy
Bye bye.
holidays. Okay.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye bye.